What's up, sheepdogs? Welcome to another podcast episode of Changing the Culture with your host, me, Autumn Clifford. I'm so excited to bring you today's episode. This girl is totally changing the culture everywhere. Her name is Jessica Ortner. You've heard her brother, Nick Ortner, a few episodes back. Both of them are co-creators and founders of the Tapping Solution. And today we're going to be talking about weight loss. And I just have to say, this is such an amazing episode. It is so empowering. And if you yourself have found yourself struggling to lose weight in any capacity, listen to what Jessica has to say. She lets us know that it's so much more than just calories in versus calories out. And there's such an emotional component to weight loss, and that a lot of times we don't even take that into consideration. And so we can spend like a lifetime just struggling with that. And so Jessica's really going to bring us this new tool, this new outlook, and how you can really bust through those blocks if that's where you're at, if you're feeling plateaued. She's absolutely amazing. She is one of the nicest people I've ever had the privilege of sitting down and talking to. I cannot wait for you to listen to this episode. I've had several clients buy her book. I suggest you do. I have it. It's called Tapping for Weight Loss. You can go right over to Amazon, pick it up. It's amazing. Also, what I want to tell you is that as I introduced Jessica, I did do it. It was pre-rebrand. So you will hear me say the Intuitive Sheepdog, which will always be a part of me. Just know it's a little bit of an older episode, but I hope that you enjoy it. It's a good one. Jessica, I'm so excited to have you on the Intuitive Sheepdog podcast. Can you please tell Sheepdog Nation a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. And for all those who are listening, thank you so much for your service. My name is Jessica Ortner, like you mentioned, and I am the New York Times bestselling author of a book called The Tapping Solution for Weight Loss and Body Confidence. My greatest passion is teaching a stress relief technique called EFT tapping, where you tap on acupressure points to relieve stress, which many of you have been introduced to already because you've heard from my brother, Nick. It truly is a family business. I work with both of my brothers, and it started off with making a documentary film about the topic. And since then, we've really built a business trying to give back to the community, teaching people the power that they have really at their fingertips.
And I love it so much, Jess, because you guys are literally teaching people how to take their power back without having to go and like get on a bunch of medications and do all of the things. You guys are like, hey, listen, like we can reduce cortisol right here. We can reduce your anxiety. I have a lot of officers tapping themselves to sleep because of your app. Can you tell them about the app real quick so that they can check it out?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that question. So the Tapping Solution app is like the best thing I have ever done in my entire life. If I can be so bold to say that. I feel like with all these years with writing so many books, we just know that people get results when they tap. And so often we're just not doing the work. We're reading about something, we know it's good for us, but actually doing it can be difficult. So we set out to make it so easy to follow along. This is an app where we have over 150 different tapping meditations. You see the points light up, so it's very easy to follow along, and you just repeat after us. And the results that we're having are astounding. Most meditation apps don't ask you for before and after. They just bring you into the process. We actually ask people, before, what's your anxiety, 0 to 10? How anxious do you feel? And after 10 minutes, we ask them again, okay, now how do you feel? And we have people going from, a 10 to a 2, or sometimes even a 10 to an 8, but just being able to reduce your anxiety by yourself is so groundbreaking. And so the data is absolutely incredible to see. We have one that's free, that's releasing anxiety, and it's had around 42% amount of decrease within 10 minutes. We have another one right now around coronavirus anxiety, and that's 49% decrease in 10 minutes. So you cut your anxiety by half in just 10 minutes. You act differently, you speak differently, you make different decisions. It's really groundbreaking.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And the thing is, Sheepdog Nation, so like I have a ton of clients that are actually using your app, and they're utilizing tapping, and they're like messaging me. They're like, Autumn, I can't go to sleep. I'm like, go get the app, go tap. And then they wake up, they go to sleep, and they wake up and they're like, oh my gosh, you don't even know, like, it took me 5 minutes and like I was in bed, and I'm like, yeah, it works. It's like, and so, and the thing is, sheepdogs, you've heard me talk about this, but I just want to say this again, in case you hadn't listened to the episode with Nick, is this is all scientifically backed. Yeah. So it combines acupressure points, like Jessica said, and, talk therapy, right?
Yeah. And modern psychology. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not just Autumn's woo-woo stuff. Okay. This is like scientifically backed. And you guys have, like, in your app, you guys have like a lot of doctors that back this too, right, Jess?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we have a lot of therapists as well who in their private practice, they'll tap with a patient and then they'll say, hey, now download the app so you can do it at home. There are therapists who use it, which is so powerful to get that one-on-one help. And sometimes we're not comfortable with getting that yet, or we're not ready, and we're able to at least access it on our phone and have an experience and find some relief. Both are really valuable.
Amazing. And so, sheepdogs, I have Jess on because she specializes in weight loss and body confidence. And so I've been reading her book, fell in love with her book. And I wanted to bring that to you guys because we have to get in shape. We have to be in shape. And there is such a stigma around if an officer is just a little bit overweight, it just seems to be like social media is like crushing us for that, right? And I've spent a lot of time battling my own weight loss stuff, a lot of time. And it is not always as simple as tracking your macros and working out. Like, you think that it should be that simple. Like, it just should be, right? Like, but it's not, because we're humans and our emotions, they come in and they play this massive role. So Jess, I really can't wait to hear your thoughts and like dive in about this, but can you talk to us a little bit about what's the correlation with like our emotions and our weight?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a very strong correlation, and that's for two reasons. One, when we're feeling a lot of stress, we have an overproduction of cortisol, the stress hormone, and that is directly related to abdominal fat. So the more stressed and anxious you are, the harder it's going to be to lose weight. It's like you have a chemical cocktail of hormones that are working against you. The other really big part of it is that food is emotional. It just is. When we were little, sometimes our parents said, if you're good, I'll give you a cookie. We find pleasure in food, and that's okay. But what tends to happen is that when we're really overwhelmed and stressed and we don't have a healthy way to manage it, sometimes the only way we can seek relief is through food. Now someone says to you, you know what? You got to get into shape. We're going to take away that food. Now you're still stressed, but you don't have the one thing that made you feel better. And what happens is, for some time, you can do it because you're using pure willpower. You're miserable, but you're using willpower. But then something else happens that just becomes too much. And you go, you know what? It's not worth it. And you start to sabotage yourself. You start to have those late night snacks. You start to, really snack and binge on your breaks. So I call it the pattern of panic. And this is how it would play out in my life. I would decide I really wanted to lose weight, and I'd be very hard on myself because I was taught that if you wanted to make a change, you had to be very strict and have that kind of drill sergeant voice. And so I would say, get it together. You're fat and you have to change things, and you're stupid. And I can't believe you haven't figured that out. I would be very, very mean to myself. And it would cause me to take some action. So I would start a diet and I would try something. And for a short time, I could just muscle my way through it. But because I wasn't dealing with the stress, when something became too much, I would then sabotage myself. I would then go to these unhealthy habits. And this self-sabotage is really misguided self-love. You are so overwhelmed and you are so stressed that for a moment, eating that pie gives you a little bit of that nourishment, that self-love, that ability to relax. It does work for a moment. And then what happens is we get back to that cycle and we try to criticize ourselves thin again. My big breakthrough was realizing that I can't hate myself happy and I can't criticize myself thin. That this idea of having to push to make change doesn't actually work. It only works for a very short period of time. And that's why people are just running the cycle over and over again of trying a different diet and constantly being disappointed. It really was because of my own pain that I began to do this work. I had known tapping before, but I wasn't using it on weight loss because, again, I was so trained to think that it was only about exercising and calories and motivation.
Mm.
And it wasn't until I had a lot of experiences of people calling me fat. Someone saying one time, "Oh, you'd be really cute if you lost weight." Or someone that I looked up to when I told them that one day I'd love to help others and be a public speaker, they said, "Well, no one's going to listen to what you have to say until you lose weight." Yeah, horrible.
Horrible.
And this is the thing, is I was bringing into my experience, this is going to sound a little strange, but when you focus on something so much, you begin to see. So if you really have a belief that you're useless and you can't feel good unless you lose weight, you will find other people who mirror your behaviors and your actions.
100%.
And so I just kept doing that. And I had to take a step back and go, you know what? Einstein says doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, is insanity. I'm insane because I'm doing all these diets over and over again. And I'm thinking one day it's going to work. And I have to take a step back and I have to look at this in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Jessica, you bring up such an amazing point because, sheepdogs, I really want you to take a step back as I actually talk a lot about like attracts like, right? Laws of attraction. And we talk about that. And so what I think, Jessica, what you said was just so beautiful. And sheepdogs, I want you to take a step back and think about this because I know the social media game. I know Instagram. Instagram is, where we all hang out, especially officers. We prefer that over Facebook. But what I know is we see all these influencers and we see these huge cop pages and all this stuff. And they're definitely, and their hearts are in the right place promoting being fit, right? But they also, what is that doing to you? Because if you're constantly feeling lack, if you're thinking you're not in shape, if you're thinking like you need to be a drill sergeant to yourself, but it's not working, like Jessica is saying she experienced, and it's continuously not working, but like what you're just attracting to yourself more of like these pages, right? That are like, you just need to eat less and do more, eat less, do more, eat less, do more. Just understand, because like you're probably attracting that to yourself. And that's why what's really cool is that you're here listening to us. And when Jessica is going to give you a whole new way of thinking about things. So Jess, what do you suggest? Like, so let's say like for cops, we have crazy shifts, crazy schedules. We like freaking is the worst for the body. Okay. Like 12-hour shifts turn into 16-hour shifts like that. And we like, so from a health standpoint, we kind of struggle with that. Accumulative stress is killing us literally. What do you like, how can we apply tapping to helping our emotional eating?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a lot of times people come to me and they ask, how do I tap to lose weight? And the answer is, most of the time, your focus isn't even on the weight. Your focus is on the stress that's causing the food to be the only way that you can relax. And so sometimes we're starting by just asking questions on what's really going on. And this is my invitation to those who are listening, is as we have this conversation and we're beginning to look at food and weight in a different way, instead of being self-critical when we find ourselves binging or eating in an unhealthy way, I want to invite you to be curious, because if you can simply begin to have some more awareness when you're in that state, then you can ask yourself questions of, what am I really feeling? What am I trying to avoid feeling? And anything else that comes up, because being with that story of what am I trying to avoid feeling or what am I feeling, just that in itself can bring a lot of awareness of, okay, I am angry and I'm eating my emotions, or I'm sad and overwhelmed. And then you can find a tapping meditation that's on that specific thing. So it might not be on cravings, but you're focusing on the stress that's triggering that craving. That being said, if you also want to go deeper into weight in this topic, because so there's one side where it's the cravings and it's the way that we eat. It can sometimes get more complex in the sense that I began to ask myself, what's the downside of losing weight? Because that's a very powerful question in tapping. If you are really, really stuck, it's usually because at some level being stuck serves you. And that's a very hard thing to admit. It was very hard for me to admit to myself, because since I was 14, 15 years old, losing weight was the only thing I thought I wanted. I really thought that if I lost weight, then I'd be happier. My life would begin. I would attract love. I'd be able to make more money. I put so much weight on the weight. And so when I had to ask myself, what's the downside of losing this weight? It was very hard to get the answer. But when I really sat with that question and even tapped on the anxiety I felt and then asked myself, a lot of things came up. For example, if I lost weight, then what I'd feel the pressure to keep it off. A lot of people have lost weight in their past and they had a traumatic thing where they lost weight and then they became ashamed because they gained it back again. And they don't want to go through that humiliation. Also, I had put a lot of rules around what I'm going to do when I lose weight. So I thought, well, once I lose weight, I'll get up on stage. Once I lose weight, I'll start to date. And so much was based on this one thing, which if you're kind of looking quickly, you think, well, there's nothing wrong with that. You're just trying to tell yourself that like you'll be able to do these things. But a lot of the things we think we're going to do are scary in themselves. Putting yourself out there to date is scary. Getting up on stage is scary. So the weight was a protection for me to stop myself from putting myself in situations where I felt like I could be criticized. Sometimes these really clear things happen. Sometimes it's just hearing a podcast like this and sitting with this information. And as you go forward, just getting curious and letting yourself reflect on your history with your body. And it's very interesting what begins to reveal itself. And then we're able to use tapping to address that.
You know, Jessica, and that's why I love your book so much, is because I've always felt like for me, weight loss has been so much deeper than food in and food out. Like, I mean, on the surface level, right? But you just said so much. It's like, what would happen if I lost this weight? Like I want to lose 20 pounds. Holy shit. And like you said, so all that pressure, so much pressure on ourselves, and it's killing us, you know, it just adds stress, more stress.
And something I'd love to add is that what I would notice in my case, it was about 30 pounds that would come and go. And before I was doing tapping, so it would go because I'd get really strict on myself. And again, I'd lose weight for a short time. But even when I was at my thinnest during that time, because I hadn't dealt with my emotions, I was constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. So I still had the same sense of anxiety. And I also didn't feel good. There was always a little bit of like, well, if I could be skinnier, well, then maybe. And we begin to play these games with ourselves. We put so much worth on our weight. And the biggest thing that I had to realize was to see my own value and to see my own worth even before I got the results. So it comes down to this. There's always people out there that love their cars. A little metaphor. There's people who love their cars, and the people who love their cars, what are they always doing? They're always cleaning their cars. It's the weekend. It's their favorite thing to do. They clean their cars. When you value something, it's really easy to pay attention to it and to take care of something. But when you hate something, it's not easy to take time on it and to want to take care of it. I hated my body. So spending time taking care of my body just felt like more pain. You know, working out, I wasn't working out because I wanted to take care of my health. I was working out as punishment for what I had eaten. And that's the mentality that really keeps us stuck and leads us back to that emotional eating and that frustration. And so it was really important for me to begin to see my value even before I dropped a single pound. And this is, you know, the book is about weight loss and body confidence, but when you read it, it's about self-worth and seeing your value.
100%. And that's why I love it so much, is because we think it's about weight loss, right? We think it's about that, but it's not. It's not.
No.
And it's so amazing. And so I'm just so excited that you could bring this to Sheepdog Nation. Would you be open to leading us through a tapping meditation?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just tap on the stress around weight loss. Sometimes just having this conversation and talking about weight loss brings up a lot of pain and disappointment. And we hear something like this, and maybe part of us gets excited and we think, oh, maybe this is the answer. But then another part of us is thinking, I have been disappointed so much in the past that it's painful to even think about this. So it's going to be general, but we're just going to do overall anxiety around this topic. So I invite those who are listening to just think about your weight loss journey and think about how frustrating it has been and how stressful it has been and how disappointed you have felt. And notice how those emotions show up in your body. Is it tension in your stomach or pressure in your chest? Notice if there's any physical tension. And give that physical tension a number from 0 to 10. And also now just focusing on the emotion, get clear on what that emotion is, whether it's anger, frustration, what is it for you? And again, on 0 to 10, give it a number, 10 being very intense. And we're going to do some quick tapping just to gain some momentum and have an experience. So let's begin together by taking a nice deep breath in. And exhale. Now I'm going to start tapping on the side of the hand, and I'll let you know what point we're moving to. And Autumn, if you can repeat after me. For those who are listening, you can repeat after me either in your mind or out loud. So tapping on the side of the hand. Even though the topic of weight loss comes with so much pressure and stress, I acknowledge how hard this has been. And I give my body permission to relax. Even though I want to lose weight. But I continue to be disappointed. I acknowledge how hard this has been. And I'm open to finding more ease. Even though the topic of weight loss feels so overwhelming. I accept how I feel. And I give my body permission to relax. Now we're going to tap on the eyebrow point. And as we tap on the rest of the points, for a moment, we're going to give a voice to the negative. We want to get clear on what's bothering us as we tap to lower the intensity. So repeating after me, all of this frustration. Side of the eye, all of this disappointment. Under the eye, I've been struggling with this for so long. Under the nose, and part of me believes. Under the mouth, it's just who I am. Collarbone, my body is always betraying me. Under the arm, I feel like one of those unlucky ones. Top of the head, so I hate focusing on my body. Eyebrow, I want things to change. Side of the eye, but this is causing me stress. Under the eye, because I've been disappointed before. Under the nose, I acknowledge all of this stress. Under the mouth, I acknowledge all of this disappointment. Collarbone, and I'm open to the idea. Under the arm, that I can release this stress. Top of the head, and get results. Eyebrow, I've criticized myself for so long. Side of the eye, I'm ready to try something different. Under the eye, I'm open to the idea. Under the nose, that this can be easier than I thought. Under the mouth, I have the courage to look within. Collarbone, and be honest with myself. Under the arm, maybe this can be a process. Top of the head, that's even exciting. Eyebrow, releasing the tension in my body. Side of the eye, having faith. Under the eye, that I've come across this for a reason. Under the nose, and I'm ready to address this stress. Under the mouth, right now and right here. Collarbone, releasing the stress. Under the arm, feeling safe in my body. Top of the head, even before anything changes. Eyebrow, I can relax more and more. Side of the eye, releasing this tension from my body. Under the eye, letting go of this pressure. Under the nose, I can make changes. Under the mouth, with more ease. Collarbone, feeling at peace in my body. Under the arm, letting this pressure go. top of the head, because right now and right here,
Because right now and right here,
I am okay.
I'm okay.
Okay, take a nice deep breath in. And exhale. And now just check in with how that felt. Check in with your body and notice if your body feels different. Get clear on that emotion that you had before. Has it changed from that 0 to 10 scale? And something, with the tapping we were just doing, I was asking a lot of questions. I was focusing on the resistance that you may have. And as we do that tapping, it's really normal to begin to get clear of, oh, this is why I'm resistant. Oh, this is what feels uncomfortable. And that gives us an insight on what we can tap on and focus on at the same time. So really that's an opening to get us started. Autumn, how was that for you? How was that experience?
Oh, that was awesome. That was excellent. Thank you. Like my body was doing some like weird things. Like I felt like an ache and a pain and like, it was just really good. It's energy moving.
It's normal if you're yawning. It's normal if you suddenly get teary-eyed, if you become aware, like you said, like you had a pain and then it shifted. The body and the mind are so connected, and we hold emotions in our body. So it's very important to always be checking in with our body and to see how our emotions are impacting our body, and to use a technique like tapping that incorporates the body and the mind.
Jess, how often should we do this?
So it's different for everyone, but I would say that some tapping is better than no tapping. And that is why with the tapping app, we made all of the tapping meditations around 10 minutes, because we can fit 10 minutes into our lives. And so really, if you can find a time, for me, it's the evening. I tend to be an overthinker in the evening. And so tapping helps me just let go of the day and helps me sleep better. So I do it in the evening, sometimes 10 minutes. I'll start with a tapping meditation, then I'll tap on my own if something specific comes up. But the biggest thing is using it. And even if we're just using it for 10 minutes, it is something. And as you know, your job is incredibly stressful. And the challenge often is we seek perfectionism. We think, okay, well, I have to do it this many times to get the results. Yeah. If you're consistent, it's going to be better. But putting pressure on yourself doesn't work. So how can you make this easy, whether it's tapping in the car when you have a break, when it's finding those few minutes before you go to sleep? This is about making it easy and allowing yourself to incorporate it into your life in a way that works for you.
So beautiful. And Jess, tell us about the app, because I know right now you guys are offering first responders and healthcare providers free 6 months.
Absolutely. So yes, a free 6 months. I feel like I'm going to cry talking about it. We're going through such an uncertain time, and so many of you, like everyone who's listening, is on the line and still doing their job and taking care of people. And we are just incredibly grateful. And we understand that there is even more stress. You guys already deal with so much. And now on top of this, with this pandemic, it can feel incredibly overwhelming. And this is our way of saying thank you. So it's 6 months. And and I'll just tell you a secret, if you guys want more time, then you let us know, because you guys help us and we want to help you. So we're here to support your community.
We love that. Thank you. And it's the Tapping Solution app, right? Just go to the App Store.
If you go to the App Store, or if you have an Android, you go to Google Play and look up Tapping Solution app. It'll come up, and it's free to download. Then you register, and then there's a lot that's free. And then the premium is like a monthly membership, but it's something we'd love to provide to your audience if you guys reach out to us.
Wonderful. Thank you. And just tell us one more time, I'm going to have the book. So Sheepdog Nation, you guys can go grab her book on Amazon. The link will be right under the show notes, but can you tell us again what it is?
It's called The Tapping Solution for Weight Loss and Body Confidence, A Woman's Guide to Stress Less, Weigh Less, and Love More. It is focused on women. I think men can get a lot of this book as well. I think women are in a very unique position when it comes to value and weight, which is why the focus is on that. But I really think anyone who's struggled can find stories in there that inspires them, and tapping scripts.
Hands down. And sheepdogs, if you know that your wife is struggling with weight loss, we know that it's way more than just, what goes in and what goes out. It's so emotional. You can definitely, just have her listen to this podcast, get her the book. I mean, it's changed my life. And Jess, I'm just so excited to have you on here. How can how can sheepdogs find you? Like, where are you on the socials?
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram is also my favorite, and you can find me at Jessica Ortner. The same on Facebook at Jessica Ortner.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jess, for coming on. It was such a pleasure. I loved the meditation. I felt instant relief. I think sheepdogs everywhere will feel instant relief. And on behalf of sheepdogs everywhere, thank you and the Tapping Solution for doing what you're doing and supporting us, because we love the app.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Sheepdogs, I'll see you next time.